All right, and let's start straight away. Have a very special person joining us tonight. Hello, Mr. Anthony. All right, let me just change my screen and I'm going to talk with you first, my darling. One second. All right, let's see if we can get your mum to unmute her line.
Hello.
Hello, Pakianos. Hello, Mr. Anthony. How are you, darling?
Good.
Good, that's excellent. You're loving school holidays?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good when you don't have to get up and go to school, isn't it? I like it too. So your mum told me that you went to the dentist and you have an infection in your tooth and it's really important that you get your tooth pulled out. Is that what's happening? Is that what they've said? Okay. And that's a pretty scary thing, right? So do you want to just tell me, I can help you so much with this, like so easily. I know you pretty good. I know how much of a leader you are and all those things. So I'll talk to you about that in a second, but do you want to tell me what you know, like what has to happen or what they said to you or what happened today?
They said if it gets more infected, you have no choice, but we have to pull it out.
Okay. Yeah. And which tooth is that? Is it one of the big ones at the back? Oh, that one up there. Okay.
Yeah, his adult tooth is growing behind it.
Near the canine.
Yeah, and then his baby tooth is here. And yeah, it started to grow behind a couple of weeks ago, and we were like, oh, look, we'll you just leave it.
Yeah. I remember because you asked me, and Shelley, the lady that I asked that night, is on the line right now. This is so cool about our community, Anthony. And so, Shelley, I'm just going to say to you, hey, at any time, if you feel like there's something for you to add here. So there's a lady on the line here, Anthony, who is a dental nurse. So she's like the nurse that works with the dentist. So she's like the person that puts things in your mouth and like sucks all the, the air sucker and all of those things. So if there's anything that I don't know that she might know, then she can just open her line and maybe help you with this too. But I think from what I know, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Sarah or Anthony, really what we're kind of talking about is just the process. It's not even really about the tooth. It's just like, how does Anthony be okay and feel safe and trust his body with being able to go, okay, if it has to be done, it has to be done. Is that what we're talking about, Anthony? Yeah. Tell me how you feel about it. Be totally true to me and tell me any of your feelings that you have about it.
How do you feel?
When
they announced it today, because he only just, when he went today, that's when they announced it, because he only went in to get a check. But then when they said, okay.
This makes even so much more sense, Anthony.
Yeah. So it was just there and then, and Emily wanted to do it there and then, didn't she? And then it was announced to Anthony. Then Luke called me.
That makes so much sense. So
yeah, it was all of a sudden.
Okay. Well, Anthony, I want to tell you something first. First of all, I want to say how proud for you I am, and I know your mum will feel the same, that you used your voice and that you put up a boundary and that you spoke up about what you needed in that moment. And if that moment didn't feel right for you to get it done because your brain didn't have enough time to process it or to talk about it or to be ready for that, I think it's amazing. The best thing ever is that you were the boss of your body. That's the best thing ever. And sometimes it can be hard to talk up to adults, and particularly when, the doctor or the dentist is saying it has to be done. And sometimes, children's parents, not that they don't care about the child, but sometimes it feels to the child like, your mum or your dad are kind of siding with the doctor or the nurse and just saying, get it done, get it done, get it done. And so first of all, the fact that you used your voice and no matter what the adults were trying to tell you, you made a decision that what was right for your body and you stayed the boss of your body, that's the best thing ever. Like you helped your soul feel safe. So that's first thing. Big, massive clap for how brave you were to do that, okay? Because that's not easy to do when adults are saying that something has to be done and you don't want it done, yeah? So good on you, mate, okay? Now, secondly, it has to be done, right? Do you understand that, it really does have to be done? Because the thing with teeth, and this is just what I know about teeth, and like, Miami and Bayer have been through some things like this, that, if we get infections in our gums, that infection, because we have so much blood in our mouth, like, because, you know, like if you like even just scratch yourself or something, like your mouth can bleed a lot. It also heals really fast. Like even if you like say you are running and you put your tooth through your lip and there can be so much blood, but then a few hours later it's nearly almost healed, right? So the things with our mouth is they bleed. There's lots of blood in our gums, which is why they're so red and so pink. But the downside of that means when there gets an infection in there, that infection can easily spread through our body. Okay, we can almost get like a poison in our blood, right? The big word for it is called septicemia. Okay, but what happens is when there's infections in our tooth and in our teeth and in our gums, the reason that things become quite urgent is because it's very easy for that infection. Once it gets into the blood goes all through our whole body and infection can go to other places. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And when infection goes through our body, that's when things can get dangerous, right? That's when, you know, if any person, a child or an adult, doesn't do something about an infection in their body, that's when we can end up in hospital, okay, with some bad situations. So the good thing is you're not at that point yet, but that's why your tooth has to be pulled out, okay? Now, here's what I believe. So are you, Anthony, do you feel like, okay, I know it has to be done. I just want to know how to do this the best that I can so that I don't feel afraid. Are you accepting that this has to be done?
No and yes.
No and yes, yeah. So you kind of know it has to be done, but you still don't want it to be done. Is that what that means?
Also, I'll add in that Anthony had a lot of questions of what it would feel like. He
Yeah.
wanted to know exactly how it would feel,
I think that's
but
a
they
great
couldn't.
question.
Yeah, they couldn't really explain it. So, and I haven't gone into
Let
that
me
yet.
explain
So.
that to you from what I've seen. So here's the thing with your teeth, okay? I'm going to tell you the full proper truth, Anthony. I'm not going to pretend that things don't hurt or that things aren't scary. I don't believe that's the right thing to tell children. I think that to help your brain understand, it's really important that even if it is a little bit, if it feels a little bit scary, it's important that your brain really knows the truth, right? So here's what happens. When they pull the tooth out, that part doesn't hurt because they will put an anesthetic in your gum. And this is what I told Miami, okay, right? That the anesthetic part, it does hurt a little bit. So they get this special needle and they'll show it to you. And sometimes if they show it to you, it looks like it's this really big needle, but it's just a really big handle with a little tiny needle inside it. So the needle's very, very small, but when that touches your gum, it does sting, okay? It does, and I'm not going to lie to you about that. That part stings, okay? It doesn't, but it only stings for a few seconds because that's the part that makes everything go numb so you can't feel the tooth coming out. So when the tooth comes out, do you want to know what happens? Do you want to know everything? Yeah? When the tooth comes out, you don't feel pain, you feel tugging and pulling. And because the tooth is like really close to your ear, you can hear it. So sometimes it feels like it sounds like a crackling noise because depending on, you know, how big your tooth is and, you know, whatever, but as they try to pull it out, they kind of they have a special tool that kind of breaks the tooth a little bit, like breaks the roots of it. And because it's so close to your ear, it's easy to hear that. You know how sometimes like if you chew with your mouth closed, inside your head, you can hear how crunchy it is, right? Because your ears can hear what's happening inside your mouth. That is going to be what you feel. So you will feel like a tug and a pull. That part won't hurt, okay? Because it's already gone numb. The part that does sting is getting the needle, but the needle doesn't go into your gum like a needle goes into your arm if ever you had to have a vaccination or a needle at a hospital or something. It doesn't go in like that. It literally just nicks, like it just absolutely very little bit touches your gum, just enough for the anesthetic, the thing that makes it all go numb, to go into your gum, and then it stops all the nerves from feeling. That's why they say that after you've had this, you can't eat something for like a few hours because you might bite your tongue or bite your lip because your mouth is so numb you don't know where you're biting. That's why they tell you not to eat food for a little while afterwards, because your mouth doesn't know what it's feeling. Does that make
And
sense?
then once they do it, you need to let them know if it's working. So they'll touch you inside, and then they'll ask you if you can feel it, and you have to say yes or no.
Oh, yeah, they will make sure you can't feel something. Okay.
Mm.
But the part that this is the thing, Anthony, the needle, this is what I told Miami. I even remember having this conversation when Miami was like not even 4 years old, and she cracked her chin open and she had to get stitches here.
Yeah.
And she was a bit scared of that as well, right? And I said to her, well, she had a choice. I said, well, we can do this two ways. Either like you are going to get these stitches, okay? And if that means I have to hold you down because you won't stop moving, I will do that. But I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to tell you that I'm going to do it because it's really important you stay still. So I said to her when she was not even 4, you can choose to have a special needle that goes in first that makes it all numb so you can't feel the stitches. The needle will sting, but you won't feel the stitches. Or you can choose to not get the needle, which means you will feel the stitches, and that will take a little bit longer than getting the needle part, but it's up to you. And Miami actually chose not to get the needle, and she chose to just get the stitches. And even though she was only 4, not even quite 4, she laid totally still. And do you know what she did? And this is the part that I know you'll be able to do. She literally just said to herself, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. And I remember her saying, it doesn't hurt, it doesn't hurt, it doesn't hurt, I'm okay, I'm okay. My body can do it, my body can do it, my body can do it. So she just said things to her brain to help keep her guard dog in the kennel. Your mum's talked to you about the guard dog, right? Yeah. And that's all, because what happens here, this is where the guard dog comes out, and the guard dog goes, oh, there's going to be a needle. Oh, it's really going to hurt. And the guard dog makes up stories that aren't true. Yes, it does sting. I remember that day when we went to the park with you guys, and which one of the girls got the bee sting?
Imogen.
Yeah, it was Imogen. Yeah, that's right. Do you remember that day when like she stepped on something and like her foot was stinging and there was like a little bee sting in her?
Yeah.
And remember, she was like, it hurts and it hurts and it hurts and it hurts. And then like maybe 1 minute later, she was okay. And then she like kept playing and she ran away.
She's always the one that gets stung.
That's what it's going to be like for you. Okay. So you just need to prepare your mind. And maybe if you go with mum and you say, mum, I'm going to squeeze your hand or something, because you're going to have to stay nice and still with your head so that they can get the needle to numb your gum. The tooth part won't hurt. The needle part will sting for a few seconds. Okay. It will. But do you know what, Anthony? I've seen you do some crazy playing rough and tumble, fall over, and I have been like, oh my gosh, how did that kid not hurt himself? I've seen how brave and tough you are, even when you have hurt yourself. And so it will sting, but it's not something that you can't handle. And it will be probably you count to like maybe 20 or something. Like you can lay there and you can squeeze mum's hand and go, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, like 20 times. And by the end of that, it'll probably be finished.
Yeah.
My suggestion is what I always tell doctors and nurses and dentists, because Miami had a similar thing with her tooth just only a few months ago, and they pulled hers out on the day too, on the day that we got there, maybe like 6 months ago. And what I always tell the nurses is I say, tell him everything that's going to happen before it happens. And it's up to you, Anthony. Do you think right now, and you might change your mind when you get there, but do you think at this moment, imagine if you were laying at the dentist right now and you had to get it done right now, would you like to see the needle before it happens? Would you like to be told when they say, okay, Anthony, here it goes. Are you ready to tell your brain you're okay, you're okay, you're okay? Do you want to see the needle? Do you want them to tell you when it's going to happen? What is it that you want?
I don't want to see the needle at all because
You just want them to do it now.
That's
I
brilliant.
just want to get over and done with it.
Anthony, look at you, darling. You already know your answers. See, you're listening to your body. And it's so true. You know the pain that you get right now from the infection? Are you getting pain in your tooth sometimes with this infection?
Every month, yes.
Every month? Yeah. So imagine this. Imagine that the pain that you have while you're just dealing with the sting, I don't call it a hurt, I call it a sting. Because like when you break a bone, let's say, there's pain. This is what I taught my girls. When you break something in your body or you tear a ligament or a muscle, there's pain. when you fall over and skin your knee and have a bit of blood or whatever, it hurts. And then there's a sting. So there's stinging, there's hurting, and there's paining in your body. This one is not a pain. And I don't believe this one is a hurt, right? It's not like you get like a bruise from falling hard on something that hurts. It's a sting. Yeah? It's like if I came along, you can even get your mum to do this, and like just with her nails, just like give you a pinch and it stings. You're like, oh, don't do that to me. But she could do that to you 10 times. You'd be like, oh, but you're okay. Get what I mean? That will be what it's like. And so if you don't want to see the needle, I think that's an excellent thing for you to tell. And I think it's important, if you feel comfortable with this, for you to tell the nurse that. So when you go in, your mum will say, okay, so Anthony is in control of what happens to his body here. He's made a decision. He knows it has to get done. He just wants it to be over and done with. He doesn't want to see the needle. All right. And if you change your mind, you can. Okay. But he doesn't want to see the needle. He just wants to get in the chair and lay down and just say, okay, go ahead and do it, and tell him when it's about to happen, when it's going to sting for a few seconds, and they'll tell you. You can trust them. And your mum can just tell them to tell you the truth, to not say, oh, it's not going to hurt, or it'll only be like, just tell the truth.
Yeah.
Okay. So is there some special, so Shelley, who's the dental nurse, she's saying the dentist can also distract him with wiggling his toes, squeezing hands, twirling his feet. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Fidget toys. Do you have a fidget toy or something that you like, Anthony, that you love to like squeeze or something like that?
Soccer ball. The
Yeah.
squishy soccer ball thing. Yeah, plenty. We got plenty.
Take
We can
something
bring
like
lots.
that so that if you want it, you can. Otherwise, I think sometimes what kids like is you're like, Mum, if I have to do this and it has to sting me, then I get to sting you. So you can like dig your nails into Mum's hand or something, and it's just kind of a little bit funny. Sometimes kids like that. They're like, if I have to get the sting, then you have to get the sting, so we can feel the sting together, right?
Yeah, Anthony's all about fairness. He'll love that.
So you can like squeeze Mum's hand even if you dig your nails in, and she's like, oh, look at the marks you left on my hand. Like something like that, I think is totally fine, so that they feel like someone else is in the experience with them.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Sound good? It was insane. There was sorry, everybody. There was pus coming out. Like he squeezed it and he was showing me. Wasn't it? It was,
Yeah.
Don't do it now. Don't do it now.
So, darling, listen to me.
No, don't.
Trust your body, okay? If there is pus, it very much has to come out, okay? Because I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm just going to tell you the truth. If you don't get this tooth pulled out and there's already pus, what that means is your body is saying, can you please help me? I can't clean this infection as fast as it's being created. There's more infection than what your body can deal with by itself. And if this goes past your tooth and gets into your blood, there will be much bigger and many more needles that you will have to have at the hospital if the poison gets into your blood.
You don't want it to get worse.
That is definitely a scary situation. Having to go to the hospital, and then you'll have temperatures and you'll feel really sick because the infection spreads through your body, and all the organs that have all the blood go through them, they start getting hurt too. They're like, hey, help me. Like, hello, you've got poison in your body. Okay? So that's really the truth. If you don't get the tooth pulled out, you'll have to have more needles and more tests, and an awful situation if you have to go to hospital with this. So just go in, make a decision in your mind. I'm just going to get it done. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to deal with it. I'll just walk in and I'll do it, and it's done.
He doesn't like the hospital, so a dentist it is.
And I'm just telling you the truth. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just telling you the truth, that if you don't let the dentist do it, you will have to end up in hospital with an infection if the infection was to get worse. And that's why they want to do it really quickly now. Okay? So I tell you what, Anthony, can we make a really cool deal? Because what I would love to do is, there's so many parents in this program whose children have to sometimes go through things like this. And, I think that you would be really inspiring. I think that your story might help other children who need to get needles or go to doctors or go to dentists and things like that. So how about, if you're open to doing this, you make a decision, You go and you get it done. You know what's going to happen now, okay? And then you walk in, you get it done, and as soon as it's done, and as soon as you feel like you want to, I would love for you to maybe get your mum to take a photo of you, or you can even do a video if you want to go on camera and post it into my group, into my parenting group. So I would love to see how you handled it. I would love to hear from you how you handled it.
It's a great idea.
And I would love for other parents to be able to show that to their children, you know, because you're a leader, Anthony. And you know what it means to be a leader is that other children look up to you. You know, you're so good at your soccer and so good at so many things that you do. And this is another area of your life that you can show up with courage. It's a bit scary, but you've got more courage than fear. And that will help some other children. So you're a bit of a natural leader, and I would love for you to lead all of the children. In this group, there's more than 1,000 children. There's like over 300 parents, and most parents have 2 or 3 or 4 children. So there's probably like 1,000 children just in this group. Would you like to help 1,000 children and share your story and maybe show us a photo or something? You would? I thought you would like that. I would love that. All right. Tell your mum to tag me in that post so that I don't miss it, because I wanna comment on that straight away.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So when are you guys getting this done? Are you calling back tomorrow, or when?
Yeah. We'll give them a call in the morning and we'll book a time.
Okay.
So either tomorrow or the next day, but they'd want it to be ASAP. So it would be in the next 48 hours probably.
What do you think about that, Anthony? Are you feeling better about it?
Yeah.
You can do
All
it.
right, dude. Yep. I'll be looking out for your photo. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And then I want you to tell me on like a number 1 to 10 how much it did sting, because everyone's different. You might be like, Holly, that stung like 3 out of 10, like it barely even stung. Or you might be like, man, I had to be brave. That stung 7 out of 10. So just work out what the number is and tell me how much you think it stung. Yeah?
Yep.
All right, little legend, go lead the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye, sweetheart.
Thank you.
No worries, babe.
I'll come kiss you goodnight in a second.
Cool. All done, babe. That's it. Like,
Oh.
yeah. Just
Thank you.
all of that if he asks questions or whatever. And yeah, definitely. I hate it when the dentists don't tell the kids what they're going to hear, because that's the worst part. Like, you can hear it breaking inside your head. Like it's freaky. So
I was freaking out at work because Luke, because he had to take him because it was passing and I was at work, and then Luke called me and he's like, this is what's going to happen. And I just felt for Anthony in the moment, and I was like, oh my God, I'm not there, and this is just gonna happen. Is he okay? And then Luke texted me back saying Anthony didn't do it. He didn't go ahead with it. And I was like, oh my God, what happened? So, and then I heard all of this and I was like, now I don't know what to say. Now I don't know if he feels like he's being forced to do something. And I think, what you said was great. And that's good, because I was a bit like, I didn't even have much of a conversation with him about it tonight. I was just like, I don't really know what to say, but he needs to get it done. So, that's great.
All you do now when you go in there, because in the moment he could freak out, okay? And all you do, you literally have to detach your emotions and not care what you have to put your kid through, basically.
Yeah.
Like, just about it, right?
Yeah.
And do emotions later, okay? Because feed off you. So when you go in there, if he starts to back out or something, you say, hey, listen to me. We are getting this done, and we are getting it done today. Okay, we're getting it done today. There are 2 options. You either hop on that bed and you manage your mind and you just do what you need to do to get this done. And if that feels too hard, that's okay. But I will hold you down. I will have to help the doctors, and they'll have to call in some other people so that there's enough people to hold you down or sedate you or whatever they say the other option is, right? Yeah. So just everything that's going to happen to him, tell him before it happens, so that if you have to end up pinning him down or holding his head dead still or something like that, if that has to happen, you don't break trust with him. So you can use this experience to build trust no matter what has to happen. And how you do that is by telling him what's going to happen before it happens. Don't lie. It will sting for a second, blah, blah, blah. And and then you can validate him and all that stuff later.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all there is for you to do. But once you get there, or once you make the decision, it has to happen. Don't let him back out of this. It is excellent that he spoke up for himself today, and he was the authority of his own body. I think that's an excellent thing.
Yeah. I'm proud of Luke too, because
Yeah,
Luke said his reaction was, in the moment, Luke's really trying hard with his relationship with Anthony at the moment. And he said that in the moment, he was just like, okay, that's fine. We'll go home. We'll talk about it. And I was like, perfect. Couldn't have been better.
that's exactly what Anthony needed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Give him a high five from me too. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yep, he just wanted to feel heard and seen and know all the details, and he knows it's going to hurt. So all of that, like it's going to make a sound, and you're going to feel tugging and blah 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 because you do, and that's it. And if his brain, if everything that happens, his brain is already expecting, then it will stop his amygdala from being activated, the fight or flight response. If something happens that he didn't expect,
and I guess that's what happened today. Like he was just like, nah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep, amazing, babe. Legend.
Thanks. Awesome. So good.
Yes, he was amazing, by the way, talking to all of us. What a legend. I love him. He's the best.
He did great. He had, sorry, just quickly, he had his melatonin, but like 20 minutes before this call when he went to fall asleep, and I was like, I thought you were doing the call. And he's like, Dad gave me a melatonin, and I was like, okay, we'll just go to bed. So that's why he was all like this.
Oh, good. Perfect.
He's pretty tired.
Hey, he was accepting it. It's good. Let him go to bed, and yeah, he's got his answers now. So yeah, I'd really push to get it done tomorrow. I wouldn't string it out on him. His nervous system will have its own response, and so definitely try to push for it to be done tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. We'll do.
No worries. Okay. Thank you. All right. Let me go. All right, El Patrolo, I'm going to bring you on. Let me find where you are. Hey, darling.
Hello.
How did he go tonight? Let me ask you that first.
He was pushing boundaries a bit, like with bedtime, which he often does, but once we left the room, he seemed to go off to sleep.
Amazing.
Okay.
The magic number, I know you've probably watched the video. I know you've tagged other people in that video about how to get your kid to go to bed and stay in bed and all that, and you're ticking all those boxes. With the story that you explained, there was nothing more to do, like other than be consistent and allow him to have a process of adjustment,
Yeah.
I think it did. I think everything you prepared for, the different temperature of the room and all these kind of things. The only thing I was going to say is, don't be afraid, especially now that he's nearly 4, of him, even having his face in on a pillow or whatever.
Yeah.
So just don't, like, if he feels like he needs that pillow and you're worried that his face is going to be in on it, just, the whole cot death thing. I mean, let's not go into the details about it, but,
Yeah.
SIDS is really, vaccination injuries and things.
Yeah.
There's a big link between it all. So I think I was just going to say, like, I wouldn't have been surprised if, tonight was the night where, as long as you are consistent, and all my advice was going to be is do not let yourself change the room or the environment. I know you're pregnant. I know you're exhausted, but the biggest thing was just like, do not do the biggest way you'll like hurt yourself and the whole situation of the family with a new baby coming in is if in a big thing like this, he feels like he has any control, if that makes sense, right? So do not under any I would rather you, if you're just freaking exhausted and you just need him to go to sleep, I would rather you make yourself a little bed down beside his or something on a mattress and sleep on the floor and just let him fall asleep up there so he knows you're there or something, than to bring him out of that room and change his environment when that's going to have to be the room that he gets used to before this baby comes.
Yeah. That's why I was wanting to start it soon. I think it's just tricky because I'm sensing there are some anxieties around it, and like he does voice things, and like the traditional stuff of putting them, following the bedtime routine is kind of, I feel like I can't push it, like be too stern with it, because I don't want him to also fear the room and the space and stuff as well. So I think I'm just trying to find that balance.
Yeah, I think you're doing it perfect. And just don't, and when he, how you said, I'm trying to remember your post, it said something like he woke up, was he talking to himself or something like that? Like
no, he like got up. He's like, I think because I took the pillow, because they weren't actually like proper pillows. They were like cushion couch pillows, because they were like Paw Patrol
Yep.
and stuff. So it wasn't like his actual pillow on the bed. So
Yep.
he was on one and then I moved one away. And so they were out of the bed when he woke up and he was like, where are the pillows? Mum, where are the, and then he kind of came out to the room, was like, Mum, where are my pillows? Like, what happened? And then I think that woke him and then he had trouble getting back to sleep for a couple of hours. So
yeah, cool. So if you need to do something with him as he goes through this, the principles you want to keep in mind is that he learns to self-settle, but he also feels safe, right? So if you choose to go into the room and he's unsettled about it, stay in the room. The goal is, if you need to help him feel safe and you're feeling like you don't want him to get fear, you can stay in the room, but you don't touch him. Or, if he's escalated and he needs to be calm, different story. But if you hear him come out and you just go put him straight back, ideally you put him back, you walk out. If he starts getting upset about that, and also you're exhausted, right? You're pregnant and all those things, then stay in the room, sit down near the door, sit down beside his bed, or I saw the photo of it. So like sit down on the floor and go, Mummy is here. I'm just here. Maybe you can like put your hand up and maybe he can touch the edge of your fingers or something if you need some kind of touch to know you're there. But ideally, you want to not have to pat him, rock him, lay with him. But you can be there so that he knows that he is safe, so that there's no trauma taking place. He knows he is safe. He knows he is loved. And other than that, he's got a space to work himself out, to go through all of his own little journey, to be a bit scared, to see if he can control you, to see if he can manipulate you, to realize that he can't, to try again, then to, all of that is just the journey.
Yeah. He's used to, because he's already used to us, not like, for me anyway, he's used to me just doing our little before routine and then closing the door and walking out.
Perfect.
So, I think last night, because I let him nap and for too long, because I was also tired, so I napped.
Yeah.
Because he was awake for a few hours the night before just to catch up a bit. I think that pushed it. So I think it was a mix of I'm pushing the boundaries and I'm also not quite tired yet. Even though we put him down late, it just pushed, but it pushed for like 2 hours and I ended up giving up and putting him in the other room. But we just persisted tonight with back in this room and didn't make a fuss about it being in this room either. We just kind of did the routine as normal from that room. And then and I think
He's responded tonight, so he does respond. So now it's just consistency. The only thing that'll mess him up now is like not knowing, or will give him fear, or will give him like an anxiety, is like he's not having consistency. Is like, well, sometimes you do this. Well, how do I get you to do that again? Now what I'm trying tonight isn't working, and all these other factors come into play, and he ends up crying not about the room. He's crying about the fact that what worked last night is not working tonight, or why can't I control you, kind of thing. So yeah, just be consistent, and also expect like that for maybe 2 weeks that there'll be a roller coaster, that he'll be great for 3 nights and then all of a sudden, like for 2 nights, he sucks at it, or whatever. Like, and just don't feed the story. Just let it be what it is and just keep being consistent. And if you can keep walking out of the room, like put him back in the room and whatever you do, lift him up or whatever, and then walk out like you said, and he's not like losing his shit over that, that's excellent. Keep doing that.
Yeah, I think it was just like the first night, it was in the middle of the night and he never usually wakes at that time that we're aware of.
Yeah.
But then, last night he slept through because we put him in the other bed because it just got to like 2 hours of him continuously getting up, and then he crashed. So he was tired and hopefully we do some more nights like tonight.
Remember, if he does that again, instead of you guys having to get up, or probably get Larry, just because you do need a bit of extra sleep right now, to just sit in his room so that he can't get up. Like, he gets up and he sees you. You're like, I'm sitting right here at your door. Like, there's no point getting up, coming to the door and trying to come out. So at least if you are sitting there, even if it takes 2 hours, sit there in his room so he doesn't even get the chance to make it to the door.
Yeah.
So as soon as he sits up in his bed, he sees you and he's like, oh shit, I'll just lay straight back down, or
he just keeps talking. Like, he'll just, like, when we're in there, he's just like, why don't we do this and why don't we do that and why don't we do blah blah blah, and I'm a bit worried about this, and
and just give him nothing. So when he
Yeah.
does that, like maybe if you need a refresher just to have it all in your head, go watch that
Video, yeah.
video when I'm in that
General
white
safe.
jumper in the car, because it talks a lot about that. Just like don't make eye contact with him. There's no engagement kind of thing. You're loved and you're safe, but there's no interaction here. You're not. You can't
Once we've done that, like wind down.
Yeah, exactly. And so if
Yeah,
you have to sit in the room, you can even lay down, get your own pillow and lay across his door and put a blanket over you and just lay on the floor and go to sleep. Like, just so that you're like, this is a boundary. You're not getting out of you. I can't stop you from sitting up in your bed, but I can stop you from walking out of the door. I'm going to lay across the door. And so you're also there. He gets a sense of safety, but you're also a boundary.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. Good job, babe.
Thanks.
It's all done already. All right, Miss Emma, let me find you, babe. I know this has been like a long time coming. It must have the other week when you had it. I'm like, shit, there's no call this week. The 1 week that we haven't had a call for this whole year. Well, the second time actually. I didn't do a call on Dave's 40th, but other than that, it's the only call that was the one where you really needed this help. Hello.
Oh, good. Hi.
Hello. Okay, so we've kind of been here before with Miss Eden, right? But now she's at a different age, at a different level, and it seems like everything is just escalating with her and getting worse. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, look, the principles are still. This is the hard part with her. Let me just start with this foundation, and then you can talk to and fro with me, because ultimately, what sets this up for good, like what sets up the foundation for like a permanent way of being, is going to take even longer than it would have taken before, because it's building her sense of self, which is hard to build when she's as disruptive as she is in the whole family, right? And when, I know you said like, Jess struggles to deal with it as well. And you're just like at a point where you're like, seriously, what more can I even do? And she's got years worth of evidence to prove that she's a bad person, or that she's that people don't like her, or that she doesn't fit in, or whatever she feels, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you are up against all of that, but ultimately any person behaves according to their belief about themselves, right? And so it's almost like so easy for her now. It's like, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. The hell that you know is better than the heaven that you don't know, right? And her nervous system has built coping mechanisms with being able to handle being in trouble for lying, being deceitful, being dishonest. It's like almost like water off a duck's back. Like it's a standard thing for her now. That's the hardest part.
Which is scary.
It is. I agree with that. Yeah, it is. And it's heartbreaking for you. Like, her heart, you know who she truly is, not who she has learned to become with all of these defense mechanisms that,
She even says openly when she's caught out, she's like, it's just easier to lie.
Yeah. So this is my thing, what I wanted to talk to you about, because it's one thing for me to give you a theory that I know will work, but it's another thing for you to be able to work that theory. Like, you're a human too, and her behaviors, I get it, they're disruptive to your entire family. She's not the only child. There are 3 other children, plus there's you and Jess, plus whoever else she affects, friendships or whatever, So what kind of space do you feel like you've got for this? What kind of, are you like, whatever it takes, I'll just start again and just rebuild properly? Or are you like, I need some Band-Aids for this because I fucking just cannot do what I know it's probably going to take and maintain it for as long as it's going to take? Or we can do it simultaneously.
I was going to say, if I'm completely honest, I'm exhausted from dealing with her.
Yeah. Okay.
100%. Like, I'm at capacity at the moment.
Yep. Good.
That being said, I have given up on some things to free up my time, which might make me less exhausted or less wanting. Like, I guess I kind of want to do them simultaneously. I want a quick Band-Aid to start seeing something change.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I want it to be a permanent change. So if there's something I need to do
Yep. Long term in the background. Yep. Okay. That's
to
cool.
make it happen and last.
Mhm.
That's what I want.
Okay.
Because I'm also petrified of her starting high school next year and it becoming a whole different level.
I feel concerned about that too. I really do. And
Yeah.
I don't want to scare you, but that was one thing. I'm like, we got a fucking 6-month window to nail this and to really build some sense of self in her before she goes to high school and, you know, like is
Exactly.
affected and influenced by what happens there. And it is, Miami has gone, there is such a big difference in high school. I've never thought a thing about going to high school in year 7 because I come from Victoria and we all start in year 7 there. I started year 7 there. But then having my own kids and being an SA and seeing Amani and Baya, there is a huge difference. Like Miami was not ready to go to high school and she knew it. It's like their childhood gives, you know, like I even remember me and Amani talking one day about I dropped Miami off at school and like all her friends run over to her, like literally like little schoolyard kids, like, and they were and like it's actually so sad. I'm like, these kids still need to be playing on the playground on the monkey bars and hanging upside down and, you know, playing chasey than, you know, having no play equipment and having to just grow up and, you know what I mean? It's just, it really, there really is a difference, you know?
Yeah.
And so anyway, it's a real thing, right? And so she'll have that added onto her as well. So anyway, I thought you might say this. I wanted to ask and I was kind of prepared to go whichever way you needed to go. So the long-term plan and the rebuilding of her sense of self, ultimately her sense of self is just obliterated, right? And she's got evidence to support all of it for why she is what she believes about herself, right? As well as she's got the child filter of all the times that it wasn't fair or that you guys were mean to her or whatever other beliefs are all packed in on that, right? And so the long-term thing is, and I just wanted to ask, because if not, I'm going to go tag you, but I've got a feeling that Libby tagged you just recently when you came kind of back reactive in this group. Did she tag you in a thing from like 2021 where I talked about watering the plant?
I honestly, I haven't even watched it yet. It was a conversation with Lenny.
Okay. Oh, is that what she tagged you? I was trying to remember who got. All right. Wait a second.
From like coming, because I was having a conversation with Libby about I have soul days with them.
Right.
And right before we have to go and get the kids from school and she knows soul day's finishing.
Yep.
We'll have an amazing day and then she'll do everything she can to basically piss me off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And ruin it.
Yeah.
And it's like, what has happened?
What's happening there is this has become her only way of knowing how to relate. She actually doesn't know how to relate with connection and an open heart anymore and a vulnerable and an honest space. Like she's lost her sense of self so much that the only way she knows how to relate is to cause a conflict. That in conflict, that is the only place she feels a connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just tagging you right now in this pose. So let me just explain. I'm just doing Emma Rivers Watch This. Okay, I've just tagged you. But from like 3 years ago. But it's the first person I talked to was Xander, Nicole's son.
Yeah.
The person, so if you fast forward, the person after him is what I want you to watch. And now she had a 15-year-old that she had issues with, but I tag everyone that in your situation or team that children need a sense of self rebuilt in that video. Okay, that is it'll probably make you cry. It'll definitely pull at your heartstrings. You know, if you can get Jess on board with that or get him to watch it or listen to it, like just so that even if he's not as involved with the process as you are, at least he knows what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't think you're being soft on her or letting her get away with something or like why you're, you know, all of that. Like he can kind of back you up and he can at least appreciate what you're trying to do. Yeah. That's the long-term game. But in saying that that's a long-term game, sometimes, you know, the long-term game can be 3 weeks and you get a result, right?
Yeah.
That's the long term. The short term is this. She needs to be put in a situation where she can no longer feed this cycle. So she can't, it's almost like impossible for her to lie, right? She cannot, the cycle stops because there's no chance for you to lie. Because I'm not asking you questions anymore. I'm saying, Eden, I know this happened, okay? And I know it was you, and we're not discussing it. I'm not asking you. I don't want a story. I don't want anything. Or if you don't know for sure, you can say, Eden, or hey guys, this happened. And you can be honest with her. Eden, listen, I'm not having a discussion around this, okay? I suspect that it was you. And if I am wrong, I am sorry. Do not tell me whether it was. I don't care if it was you or it wasn't. All I'm saying is, on the inside of your own mind, you know whether it was you or whether it's not. I don't need to know. I don't care. But the person who has done this has hurt me, has disappointed me. It is terrible to have to deal with this situation. And if it's you, don't tell me. I don't want to know, okay? You know if it's you, and if it's you, fix it. Please make up for that or whatever, right? Or whatever. So just no more opportunities for her to even create a story or even attempt to lie. And it might mean that you get it wrong sometimes, right? But I would rather you cause, let's say, the damage of getting it wrong and she feels blamed for something that wasn't her, than for the damage to keep repeating of giving her opportunities to lie and give herself more evidence that she's a bad person, she doesn't tell the truth, that everyone must hate her, blah, blah, blah.
I'm always like, even when it's in front of me, I always feel bad. I'm going, but I know it's you. Because of that lying video we went through.
Yes.
So many moons ago.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to keep doing that, but you're making it really hard when you just constantly fucking lie.
The part where we're trying to get her to admit it. So back then, that whole situation with you was like, like with the whole cake situation, whatever at the time, was like, get them together, get them all to own it. And she came to you, right? She came to you a little while later and whatever. But
and that's easy in that kind of situation, but when it's something at school that's only involved her, I can't involve the whole family to go come clean on it.
So all of your conversations need to be, hey, listen, I don't know what happened. I don't even want to know. The story doesn't matter to me. You know, you don't have to say anything to me out loud, okay? I don't need an explanation from you. All I'm telling you is some facts. Here's what I'm telling you. The school called me today, or the school wrote me, just the same way that you do descriptive praise and descriptive criticism, it's just facts. All I'm telling you is this. I do not need a response from you. You do not need to say a word. And I'm asking you to stay quiet. I do not want to hear anything, okay? I'm not against you. I'm not supporting this. I'm not against this. I'm just telling you what's happened. And I only want you to sit with whatever's in your own heart and in your own mind. You know what happened. I don't know. I'm not getting involved, but I'm telling you, the school called me. I got an email today. Here's what the email said. I don't know what happened, but I know that you know what happened. And I also know, Eden, you are a good person. You have a good heart. And I know that you've made some mistakes in your life sometimes, okay? And maybe that makes you feel like you have a bad heart, but I know your heart and you are a good person. So if you did do this, or whatever happened to make the teacher email this to me or call me, here's what else I know. I know that you know how to make that right. And that when you come home to the truth in your heart, that you will make that right. And if that means you need to apologize to someone, if that means you need to go and talk to a teacher about it, if that means you need to sit with this and maybe come and ask for my help tomorrow, I'm open to all those options. But this is now, you need to work out how to fix this. That's all. And she might even say, for example, but Mum, I really didn't do this. You say, okay, so if you really didn't do this then, because I'm not saying you did or you didn't, but if you are saying in the truth of your own heart, you know you didn't do this, then what's the solution here? Who is it that you need to go and talk to? Who is it that you need to share this with? What person do you need to get involved with this situation to be able to have a voice for yourself and to be able to say, hey, I know that I've made mistakes a lot in the past and I've told lies in the past, and that might mean, take responsibility. Because there have been lies in the past, people do more easily point the finger at you, okay? And this is where you take personal responsibility. You say, and you go with the truth of your heart. and you know that the universe will support truth, and you go to your teacher or you go to whoever, if your friend is telling a lie about you because your friends know now that you're an easy target because you've been caught out on things before, now you're the easy one for them to lay the blame on, then you take responsibility, you get your power back, you claim back your power, and you speak up for yourself. You go and you make that right. You go and you talk to the people who are lying about this. You go and you confront them. You go and ask the teacher. Your teacher will feel something different about you if you're in your truth. But people can also feel the weakness of a lie. So just make sure to find your truth, Eden, whether you did it and you need to make it right by apologizing or whatever, or whether you didn't do it. I don't need to know that. I love you no matter what. All I'm here to do is love you. You work out what's right for you, and let's just implement the solution. So she has no opportunity to lie to you. And these are her lessons. This is like, hey, take responsibility, own it. Okay. You can't be upset that people don't trust you now. This is just the natural consequences of what happens when you've made mistakes in the past. But what you've done in the past does not define who you are now. You get to decide in this moment who you're going to be. And when you show up in the truth of your heart, just as many times as you've shown up making mistakes, then this will become what people believe about you. It took a while for people to believe that you were the dishonest person. They needed lots of examples, and you gave them those examples. And that's why they assume that now, which means if you can make decisions in your life that make people believe that about you, then you can also make choices in your life that make people think this about you, make people remember, wow, this girl has changed. This girl is owning up to things. This girl is taking responsibility. This is a girl with so much courage. Even though she knows everyone's against her, she's showing up for herself. You be that girl.
Yeah.
So let her live with the natural consequences without you solving the problems, right?
Yeah.
But take away any opportunity for her to potentially tell a lie.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We just have to stop that cycle first. Like that has to stop.
Because that's what she wants to do all the time.
Yeah. And like I'm telling you, she's literally getting feedback from it. Like this is what happens in enmeshment trauma, codependency, and things like that. I've got a video I did August last year, I think. If you go in the group and type in codependency and enmeshment, or just type in codependency, it'll come up. And it goes for like half an hour. But in that, I talk about how when people don't have a sense of self. So let's say you had enmeshment trauma from your childhood, right? Or a codependent relationship with your parents or whatever. And now you're in a relationship with your husband. That we go one of two ways. We either forgo ourselves completely and just be whatever the other person needs us to be, right? Or we literally create conflict, because it is only in conflict that we feel a sense of self separate from the other. That when we are against each other, I am different from you. And that's how I claim back my identity that I lost in my codependency. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's the same kind of thing that plays out in her life.
Yeah.
The conflict is actually where she's getting connection.
Yeah. Which
I know it's hard and you won't ever understand it. No, none of us will ever be like, how, like, even when we go through our own trauma and shit that we've unpacked all, the baggage of our life, we're like, how do I get a payoff out of this? Like, it's so hard to confront, but I see it. I get a payoff out of being the victim, or I get a payoff out of, being the one that's always got drama in my life or something like that, right? And until we're willing to, really confront that, the cycles don't change.
Yeah.
And so she's getting a payoff, and her consciousness isn't high enough for her to be able to have this level of awareness. Her astral body how old is she now? 11?
Yeah, she'll be 12 in October.
In October. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, her astral body is, anytime now starting to make its connection with her etherical body, with her energy body. But what that means is that she doesn't know. She literally, doesn't know. She doesn't know why she needs to. She probably can't even identify that when I'm in trouble, or when there's a fight, or when whatever, there's something in that feels good to me. There's something in that the peptides of her physiological, makeup literally feed off that. It's an emotional addiction.
Yeah.
She literally gets
And that's the thing. This year, she's had the best school friends ever.
Yeah.
And she had a great term one. And then all of a sudden, the things she'd start saying is, oh, they started saying this about me and that about me. And I'm like, did you actually hear them say that? Well, no, but they were looking at me and saying something. And I'm like, you're just trying to create something out of nothing because you literally don't know how to be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's true. And I know it's so hard. I know you know a lot about gut health and a lot about nutrition, and I know that you've said it's so hard to heal her gut because of what she will and won't eat and all those things. And
exactly. And that's the thing. Like, she just goes down the gauntlet of, no, why is it always me? Why can't I have this? And why can't I have that? And it's not fair. And so then she just refuses. So she just eats all the shit and doesn't exercise. So she doesn't release any endorphins at all.
Yeah.
Which doesn't help either, but any opportunity you give to her to try and find something she likes, she just blatantly refuses.
My only other thing I can say is that, we're all a product of our environment. She needs an environment that is fresh for her, where she's not up against someone's opinion already being in place, right, of her because of the past. So, and something that she's exposed to regularly. And so in that regard, the only other thing I can think of to suggest is what I've already said to you privately, which is for her to work with Amani, like to have a mentor in her life that feeds, because when any of us get a mentor, we love the mentor. Like, we want to live up to what the mentor, like, we want the mentor to have this high opinion of us. And in order to maintain that, we have to live up to that. But also, we're so much more open to receiving all the same seeds that you try to plant, that that maybe friends or your sister has tried to tell you, but it doesn't land for you until you come to Happy to Whole, and you're like, oh, that really hit me. And people in your life are like, I've been trying to tell you that for years. Or Jess might have been like, I told you this for years. And you're like, yeah, but I hear it differently when it comes from someone in a different environment, or someone that I see as a mentor or whatever. So that's the only other thing. Like, there's heaps of people that like I said, Amani has worked with. Phenomenal.
But the thing is, like, because I've given her so many different tools and she refuses to use them because they're coming from me.
Correct.
I think even me suggesting to her to work with Amani, she'll be like, nah.
Okay. Tell her, if you're open to doing it for her, providing that for her, tell her I suggested it. Tell her, hey, like, if you want.
She said, say hello, by the way.
I did. Yeah, I thought, she's beautiful. What I can do is we can set this up if you're open to this and you want to. I just think having a positive influence in her life is the only other thing that you could try here. Like, I feel like you're covering all the bases, right? So if you, and like, just to give you an idea, Amani, long story short, Amani, one night I was going to pick her up, or she was going to get a ride home with a friend and blah, blah, blah. And then in the end, she's like, oh no, my friend will bring me. So then I had a couple of wines that night. And then half an hour later, Amani's like, oh, can you actually come pick me up? I'm like, I actually can't now, right? And it turned out to be a perfect thing designed by the universe, because that night it meant she had to catch an Uber home. She was at like a friend's 18th or something, and she had to catch an Uber. That Uber driver she gets talking to, long story short, she's now, for the last 3 months, been coaching his daughter, who got taken off her mum because of, alcoholic abuse and all this kind of stuff. But this young girl was cutting, was bulimia, and she got taken to live with her dad and Amani's work. Anyway, it's been 4 months. And I think it's 4 months, maybe 5 months, but she has literally not cut since March, has not had any signs of her eating disorders in the last 2 months. And she's become such a responsible 12-year-old that Amani has literally trained her to be one of her babysitters. I just picked her up the other night. So she's starting to be one of the babysitters in Amani's business. So whatever connection she has with these girls, this is a young 12-year-old that came from trauma, that was cutting and everything and has not cut once since then. So the results are pretty awesome. And these parents were like the dad and his wife, and his wife is quite conscious. She she loves Tyler Tolman and all this kind of stuff. She was going to come to the retreat we're running for him and everything. And yeah, they were like, we've tried everything. Like, we took her in and we have there's nothing we haven't done for her.
Yeah.
There are people that are definitely on the other side of the fence. So sometimes it's not that what you did wasn't going to work. It was just that was coming from her mum and her dad. Chances are Amani has said things that aren't even as good as what the stepmom and the dad did for her, but she just receives it differently because she's working with someone that she's got a clean slate with. She thinks this person doesn't know who I am at school, or that I'm a liar, or that I've been this bad person. Yeah. This is a fresh slate. I get to be who I am with her. And, there's text message access in between and things like that, and friendship issues, sibling issues. These are the things that, Amani's coached like 15 people.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I would, you know me, I'd be all for it. It's a matter of getting her on board. Because even when Miami did the YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, she loved that, didn't she?
Hi, Aiden.
Hello.
You can say hello.
Hi.
How are you doing, girl?
Okay.
Good.
Good to see your delicious little face.
Good to see you.
Ah, so good.
And bed?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, night, Mum.
Good night.
Love you.
Love you. Say good night.
See you, hi.
See you, Eden. So I have one idea.
She 100% knows that I was talking about it.
That's okay. Yeah, it's cool. Don't worry. Doesn't matter. And if she asks you about that, own it, babe. Just say, do you know what? I'm going to own it. I love you so much that I will do anything to get help on how I can be a better mum for you. Just put it like that so it appeals to her.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing as a mum that isn't good enough to be able to help you the way that I wish I could, right?
Yeah.
So if you want, we can set this up. I can send you a text that you can show to Eden. And I can just say, hey, just wanted to let you know, I just spoke to Amani and she's about to put out a post to say that she's got one free spot left. And I just thought I'd see if, maybe Eden or Ava want to take it or something like that, before Amani puts it out. And then you can go, hey, Eden, look what Holly sent to me. Holly's literally said that either you or Ava, not both of you, Amani only has one spot, either you, and I thought I'd ask you first because that will make her feel a bit special that you asked her before you asked Ava. And you can show her that this isn't your idea. This is like Holly's idea. Holly sent me this, and Amani's going to put it out to say that she's got a free spot. But before she does, Holly just wanted to see if maybe you'd be interested, and maybe you can just do look, she'll do a free call with Amani first just to connect and see if if she even feels comfortable enough to do it, right?
Yeah.
So we can set it up like that if you feel like that will help. I'm happy to send you a text and.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just think that's the only other thing you could possibly try. Just another influence in her life that's not tainted. Yeah. And she'd probably feel pretty special that she's got the mentor, kind of like it'll make her feel like she does have something. Because I know she goes on about things not being fair and all that kind of stuff. I was like, hang on a minute. Does Ava have a mentor? No. Do you?
Yeah, well, actually, now that you've even mentioned that, so I got her a counsellor after we had all the death.
Yep.
Last year.
Yep.
And then Ava wanted to start seeing him as well.
Okay.
And then a few weeks after Ava started seeing him as well, even though he would never be like, intertwine their conversations or anything. She was like, no, I don't want to see him anymore.
Okay.
And she's shut that.
Okay.
She's like, no. It made no difference. It didn't make any difference. I don't want to talk to him.
Does Ava still go?
Yeah.
So you can use that. You can say, hey, Eden, I thought I'd ask you because Ava's already seeing the other guy and I know you didn't want to see him, but maybe Amani might be better and you can talk to Amani first before you make a decision. You don't have to decide now. Would you like to organize the conversation or whatever? And because she might just feel like, Ava kind of cramped her style. Like she came in and took something from her that she had. Like who knows what her reasoning was. Maybe she was afraid that this man that Ava would tell him things like, your sister's going to say, I hate how my sister's always arguing with my parents or whatever, right? And so then it's just her own shame. I don't want to face the person that knows things about me. If I can control what they know about me, then I'm okay with that, right? And that's very typical for someone with low self-esteem and, you know, some almost like narcissistic type behaviors that are coming from just low self-esteem, you know, where she really is manipulative with things and control things, lied straight to your face. And, you know, that is a very normal behavior for someone that needs to control and manipulate their world, you know, for her to be like, I cannot face someone that might just possibly know something about me where I don't get to control the narrative.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
So if we do that, and we do, when something happens, that we don't let her negotiate a story about it.
And at the same time, you're going to do this thing that I tagged you in. So in behind the scenes, you just watch that video and go with that. Okay, that'll make all the sense in the world to you. So you're always doing that in the background, never giving her a chance to tell a lie, or eliminating every possible chance you can to not even let her tell a lie. And just keep coming back to Eden, because the thing is, what's the point of you knowing the story? You fucking can't do anything about it anyway, right? So it's true, Eden. I'm no longer hearing stories. All I'm here to do is love you and support you in what you need to do based on what you know is true to be able to make things right. I am not making things right. I don't need to know the story because I'm not going to be the one going to talk for you. I'm not doing that. I will love you through your process. If ever you need, I will come and stand with you while you talk to the principal or the teacher or someone. If you feel like you need support, I will provide love and support, but I'm not solving problems. So I don't need to know stories. I don't need to know anything because it doesn't matter what I know or what I think. All that matters is what you know and what you think and what's true in your heart. And all I'm saying, you have a beautiful heart. The truth is always where your power is. And just give her a bit of like a pep talk. Hey, you claim your power back right now. You know who you are. You stand up for yourself. You have a voice. When you know, like, people can feel the truth.
Cool. Thank you.
Could you also leave the iPad out there so that I can get it?
Sure.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's nervous about what we're talking about. So go on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that her again?
Yep.
Yeah. That's cool. That's, you know, yeah, that's fine.
I mean, the best thing about it is that she idolizes you.
Yeah.
So she knows that
whatever
I come away with, she's more accepting of.
Yeah. And it's in her favor. You know, remind you can go, hey, Holly told me some big things. She said that I need to stop asking you questions and you know, she told me off last night. Like, I remember she like we helped her with the whole going to camp thing when she had that like anxiety and all that, and that empowered the hell out of her, right? So that's good. That's excellent. So let her know in whatever way you want that, you know, Holly gave me the hard word last night, you know, that I just need, you know what, and you can tell her, hey, I'm never asking anymore for you to tell me what happened. We're not doing that anymore because Holly's right. I don't need to know what happened. The only person it matters to is you, because the damage isn't out here. The damage is inside your own heart. It's inside your own soul. Right? So you don't need to tell me anything. I'm never even going to ask. But, you know, if I do suspect that it's you, just like if I suspected it was Ava or Casey or whoever, I will be asking you to make it right. I might be like, hey, Eden, don't give me a story. This was left on the bench. Put it away. Or that's all I'm saying. And she's like, but I didn't. Eden, put it away. That's all.
Yeah.
Just cut off her stories.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And she says, but I really didn't do it. Well, then I'm sorry if I'm getting this wrong. I don't need to know if I'm getting it wrong. You know in your heart whether I've got this right or if I've got this wrong. If I've got it wrong, I apologize. Put it away anyway.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And keep me posted, all right? Keep me posted on all of these things, all right? I'll send you tonight before I go to bed. Or maybe I'll do it tomorrow so it doesn't look like it's off the back of tonight's call. I'll do it tomorrow. And
Yeah.
if I forget, do me a favor, because I've got like a appointment first thing in the morning with the house build. Can you, if I haven't done it to you by
If you
lunch,
forget, I'll
send me
message
an emoji. Yeah, just send an emoji.
Oh, so
it
she
doesn't
can't
see
see
what
it.
you're saying.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
just be like, or you can say, thanks for last night. It helped so much, or something like that. Or,
Yeah.
so last night, I can't wait to be a better mum, or something.
Yeah.
Then I'll go, oh, by the way, I just, whatever. So we can,
Yep.
okay? So
Perfect.
that'll prompt them, okay?
Yeah.
All right, darling.
Thank you.
All right, go watch that video and leave a comment under the video. I want to know how it lands for you, okay?
Yes.
All right,
Absolutely.
darling. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. All right. So, sorry, I lost my post. I'm going back to it. Give me a second. Oh, Claudia, it's you and then Tamika. Hi, darling. Oh, can I unmute?
Now.
Yeah, hello.
Hi.
You've definitely had a bit of a tough run, haven't you? I hear
Yeah.
this is heartbreaking stuff. It really, really is. Yeah, it is. Give me a second. I just want to quickly refresh. I read this today and there was something in it that I wanted to pull out. Let me just remind myself.
Yeah. I feel like the recoup that I did this morning probably was already less intensive since it's been over a week ago. So I'm now looking at it with a bit more distance, with him a bit calmed down. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's right. This is what I wanted to say. Okay. When you said about the background and him and his dad have a great buddy relationship and all this kind of stuff, right? So,
Yes.
8-year-old, that's right. Okay. This is what I wanted to say to you. This is a very typical, and so I wanted to ask whether has this all really started to happen since the separation? Did this ever happen before the separation? Let me ask that question first. Is this?
Well, he was at a very different age at the time of separation, but he's always had bigger emotional outbursts compared to his brother. Like everything was always blown out of proportion a bit more than what his brother would do. He always was very picky and he always wants to be in charge and control of something. Yeah.
So let me say this from a perspective for you to consider, okay?
Yes. Yeah.
Because when there are children, and there's many children in this group have had the same conversations with their parents and it changed the game on them. When you've got a child that likes to be in control and likes to kind of be the boss of things and have things their way, that is 95% of the time a very big sign of leadership. They are natural born leaders and they need to lead. They need, it's not just like they're control freaks and narcissistic, manipulative people. They are just leaders, right? And a leader needs to lead. Like it's literally instinctual for them.
Yeah.
So if he has, some pretty big leadership abilities that then get squashed in him because, you've accidentally perceived it as controlling or being unfair or, whatever. When his natural spirit is diminished and crushed unintentionally without realizing, that then creates what I was, the second thing, it adds to a grief process, right? So everything that you're saying here, if we don't even consider that there's any kind of neurodivergence issues or anything like that, if we just look at this as a boy that's been through some stuff and he's the loud kid and he likes to be the boss and all those kind of things, loves winning, loves games, competitive, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I see a lot of leadership in there, right?
Yeah.
Now, and you know how he's saying, you don't care about me, I want to die. These comments, I want you to imagine like this. He doesn't really want to die. He doesn't really think you don't care about him. But when a child says, I want to die, or when they say to a parent, I hate you, I wish you were dead, to anything like that relating to dying, What they're really saying, they just don't have the vocabulary for it. What they're really saying is, I want to stop the way that I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And the only way that I can be sure to know that I would never feel like this again is to be dead, or for you to be dead because of the reason that I feel like this, right?
Yeah.
And so that's really what they're saying. So we need to like put that translation in before we receive those words, okay?
Yeah.
All he's basically saying is, I don't want to feel like this again. And the one way things are final is to be dead, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So from a grief perspective, I want to say this, like there's grief and there's change and there's loss in his life compared to, you know, before.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, if he has this natural leadership, you know, gift that isn't nurtured in him in a certain way, it causes him to feel like that part of him has been killed, is dead.
Yeah.
And the grief for the loss of that connection, there's a dissociation, like a complete dissociation with that part of my truest self, that when I show up in my truest self, I naturally want to lead and I get told I'm being bossy. I naturally want to create a scenario and organize a scenario, but I get told I'm being controlling or whatever. And these are natural for me. And the only way for me to like kind of be accepted and to be approved of is to dissociate and disidentify with this very natural like instinct that I have. Then that is grief as well. That is a loss of, you know, like how we feel sometimes. I don't know, you know, everything about marriage. I do remember you sharing the story in the beginning, and I know you've had a tough time, but you know, when you're in a relationship and you're like, I just feel like I've lost myself. Like I've stayed too long, or I've put up with certain things and I'm just a shell of who I know myself to really be. And that's when we get so stuck and we go into depressions and we basically self-abuse. We abuse ourselves by staying in situations we shouldn't stay in because we've literally lost that sense of ourself.
Standing up for ourselves.
And there's grief. It's devastating when we realize I'm fucking not the person I used to be. Like it's right?
Yeah.
And it's hard to find the strength from a broken place to be able to implement decisions that we know are right for us, which is why we stay in, you know, the wrong situations too long sometimes, right? Because we've just so that's what I see in him. I see a child that's full of grief and that probably is a natural born leader and hasn't been given permission to lead. And if you aren't a natural leader, then that makes sense. Like you don't know how to lead a leader. You don't know what a leader needs. If you're someone that's more like someone that likes to fit in, or someone that likes to kind of get along with everybody, and someone that likes to not be the standout, just kind of meld into the group, then you have and if on top of that, you have disowned the parts of you that were leaders. Like let's say as you grow up, if you've been given all of this messaging around don't stand out and don't be a show off and stop big noting yourself and be humble, and anytime you are excited about yourself or proud of yourself, if that was diminished or minimized in any way, and now you've got this son that's loud and upfront about being the leader and having the control and saying what he's good at, that is going to trigger the fuck out of you. That is going to open up that you have disowned and dismissed.
Yeah, very true. Yeah.
And it's natural for you to be like, I don't know how to parent this. This is not good. Like if you're going to stand out and that's going to make all this target, and all these stories run subconsciously, and then we squash it.
I feel like that urge to sometimes just stop him because I know he's a child and they're all very self-centered, but I just sometimes miss the empathy in him, like the care about others. And then that's when I step in, where I'm like, okay, I see you want to do this, but you need to consider the others as well. Like,
can I share a perspective with you on that? Because
yes, please. Yeah.
Sounds like you have two very different human design types. Are you into human design?
Sorry?
Are you into human design at all? Do you know much about human design?
Not in a deeper level, no.
Okay, that's okay. So you can go and work out your human design. We have somebody that spoke at Purpose Retreat as one of our guest speakers like just in February, and you can do it for free on her website. So you go and you have to put in like the date of birth, the time of birth, and the location, and then it will give the human design type, right?
Yep.
And anyway, it's like human design is like a culmination of kind of all of the spiritual principles, if you like numerology versus astrology versus personality types, all in together melded. And it's so fucking on point. It's not funny, right?
Okay, yep.
What I'm saying is, I guarantee you that you are probably a solar plexus authority type. So in human design, we all there are certain parts of our body where we get our authority from, right? If you're a solar plexus authority, that means you're an emotional authority. Okay.
Yeah.
You can be a splenic authority, which means you're someone like Marlon. I know you know Marlon. I know she's a splenic, and a splenic person. So the solar plexus person they always have an emotional wave with anything, with a decision they need to make, with news that they've just heard. They should never make a decision immediately. They should ride the wave, give themselves at least 48 hours. Otherwise, the decision they make here, they're going to beat themselves up for it and wish they hadn't done it over there, right?
Yeah.
Then there are people who are splenic, and they just have a knowing. They don't know why. They just have a knowing. I just know, that's a completely different authority. They can make decisions in a moment. Sometimes they can also know, I need some time to sit with this. Like they just have a knowing, and it's an inner knowing, and they don't know where it comes from, and they haven't got evidence for it, but they just know stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a sacral authority. Now, this is what I am. I'm a sacral authority, and a sacral authority is non-emotional. And this is why I'm able to lead the way that I do, because I mean, look, until I went through my spiritual awakening journey and my real depth of knowing myself and did the work, I all my life came across as a very cold, like asshole person, right?
Yeah.
And like just very calculating, right? Now, here's where that serves me. I have really deep intuition too. But the fact that I'm non-emotional doesn't mean I don't care. But I won't let caring for your emotions get in the way of something I believe to be right. I will give you a hard truth, even if it hurts your feelings.
Yeah.
And I don't feel bad if it hurts your feelings. I can have compassion for you. I can truly feel the heaviness that you are moving through.
Yeah.
But that won't stop me from twisting the knife if I believe there's benefit in twisting the knife for you and holding up a mirror and getting you to feel safe enough to see it. And you can walk out of a coaching session with me fucking distraught. Sometimes people do. They'll like text me all day like, Holly, you fucking ruined me. Like you took me to a layer that I feel like I can't handle today.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And this is what allows me to do the work that I do. This is what makes me different from many other leaders in the parenting or consciousness space, that they get too empathetic or too connected, or they don't want to offend you, and they're in a fucking popularity contest. I don't care if I don't have friends. I'm not here to be, I love that we can be friends, but I'm not here to just be your friend. And if there's 100 people that hate my guts, like I'm totally on board with that.
Yeah.
Because and the sacral authority just has a gut feel. I can make my decisions instantly, and I can totally disconnect from your emotions and your story and just make a decision that I know is hard. It's going to hurt some people's feelings, but I know it's right.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
and so
definitely.
if he is that, he comes across like he has no empathy. And to some degree,
he does. I know he does, because he does show it. Like when something unexpected happens, or he, in rough play, really hurts his brother, like he's so shocked. He hides away. He starts crying. He comes and gets a cold pack for him. Like I can see that he cares. Like, it's not that there's no care.
Yeah, but he'll never automatically have the filter of how is this going to be for someone else before I do it. That is not his normal way of thinking.
Yeah,
we need leaders like him. This world needs a whole fucking generation of people like that. That's trying to please each other and become so unauthentic and live lives that are so not for them, because all they've done is fucking please everybody, that they don't even know who they are. And
this is totally me. So get him and me in one
And look what we've just been through in the world the last 4 years. Honestly, it was visible how many people through the process of COVID had the guts to even say whatever position they were in, whatever their beliefs were. People were so fucking silent about, yes, I know there were the small percentage of people that were very vocal and, like me, that love stirring the pot and putting some controversy out to the world, being like, hey, but you knew where I stood with any of my beliefs. And that doesn't mean that I judge you for any of yours. Yeah. But I also won't silence myself just in case I offend my fucking followers. Like, if you're allowed to be who you want to be, I get to be who I want to be too. And if you can't hold space for my truths just because they're different for yours, then I don't even want you following me. You're not my type. And that's not with disrespect. That's just like, I'm not connecting with that. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So we need people. My God, this world needs people that don't care about who's going to be offended. That's like, here's my freaking belief. Here is what I will take a stand for. I don't hate you for not taking the stand for the same thing. Go ahead. I choose not to vaccinate my kids since I had a vaccine. I don't have a single thing against someone that fully vaccinates their kid. It is your decision. You are yourself and what feels right for you. And I will honor myself and what feels right for me. And then we both win.
That's where all our clashes come from as well, though. He does, because he doesn't accept any of my help because he knows better with his 8 years old.
And honestly, he's like, if he's similar to me have this natural leadership ability and this lack of empathy, if you want to call it that, and I would say that's right until he gets to the point where he's conscious enough to go on his own deeper journey. Like, he cares, but he's going to come across a bit cold-hearted sometimes. Okay. But that's what's going to give him the balls to go his own way in life, even if everyone else is against him, and go follow his life purpose and live a life that he was born to live, even if everybody says, oh, be careful. Okay.
He's also so manipulative. Like, if he wants something, he knows exactly how to play someone. Like, if I watch him do it to his brother or to friends, where I'm like, don't give it to him. Like, he's playing you.
That's people skills. That's influencing skills. This life is a game of influence. Okay. Let me share with you.
He's like my ex, though.
That's why he triggers you. Now you need to be at Happy to Whole. You need to fucking sell something and get the money to come to Happy to Whole, because that is what makes it so hard. Because if you have unhealed wounds, and if your ex was in your life to provide you with some lessons that on some level you've missed some lessons, you can't escape them. They're going to come back at you. And if the universe can't give you lessons through your colleagues and your associates and your friends and your partners, guess where they're going to come? They're going to come through the channel that you can't run from, which is your child. Okay. And so any part of your partner that you still haven't been able to resolve, or any reflection of that you see in your son, you are going to feel towards your son the same way you feel towards your partner. And if you feel like you hate your ex for some of that, you are going to have moments where at an absolute depth of truth, you feel like you hate your son, because, and you'll be disgusted.
It's terrible, but in some moments, and I know it's that I love him, but in some moments I can just,
you will be, like a shame.
I just have to stay quiet because I'm like, you're such an asshole. I'm saying it because I cannot understand where those beliefs come from, or where he takes that cockiness from, or
it'll be so shameful for you to have raised a child that's like that, that's doing that. Like, this is his father. Like, you cannot be my child if you're going to turn out like your father. I see this already happening with my partner's ex. She hates him a lot, and she will fucking, over her dead body, will she let her son turn out like his dad, like in her mind, right? And so I'm not saying that she's a bad mom. I think she has the best intentions for her son, because in her mind, like, if you turn out like your dad, you are a bad person. And I don't want my child to be a bad person, of course. I don't hold that against her. But that lack of awareness is absolutely going to affect his life and who he knows himself to be. So those are wounds you need to heal. There's everything you've told me, even the way that he's able to manipulate people.
Yeah.
I want you to see his manipulation as influencing. He's able to influence people. I'll give you a quick example. I said this, so I have some coaches, like 2 people that are coaching for me. So you can do coach, instead of coaching with me, you can coach with people that I've coached to be coaches, if that makes sense, right? And just only last week, I remember having this conversation on our little coaching call that we do every fortnight. And I said, because they were talking about manipulation and, you know, we're talking about manipulative patterns in people. And I said, listen, manipulation, like the wholeness journey, this is why my retreat is called Happy to Whole, right?
Yeah.
It stops chasing happiness and start learning how to embrace your wholeness, because that's the only place you find true happiness anyway, right? Happiness is a permanent state. Wholeness is, right? And I said to her this, in wholeness, all things have their place. All things. For example, I am manipulative. When I get to purpose retreat, this is the example I gave them, and they were like, whoa, that hit me. Like, I get it, right? Because you think I'm a great person. That's why you come to all the things that I do, right? You love it. But I'm manipulative. I gaslight the shit out of all of you at the beginning of purpose retreat. I open that retreat, and the first thing that I do is I gaslight the shit out of you, manipulate you, get you to question the way that you think, get you to question your own beliefs, get you to doubt yourself on every level, so that your mind is now open to me planting all the seeds that I believe are going to serve your life better than those shitty belief systems you've currently got. But in order to get your mind open to receiving the seeds that I want to plant, I will manipulate your thinking. I will make you question yourself, which is basically gaslighting. And I'll be like, okay, how many of you do this? Put your hand up now. And I'm like, cool. How's that working for you? How's your relationship? How does that serve your life? Oh, it doesn't. But I make you doubt yourself. That's gaslighting.
Yeah.
But it has its place. That is why I'm able to do what I do as a leader.
Yeah.
But if you want to break it down, that's manipulation and that's gaslighting. And you could call those bad things. Or you could say, that's someone that really cares. That's someone that will rip your belief systems to shreds, get you to see how bullshit they are, so that your mind is open to actually elevating your life to something better.
Yeah.
And then you call that leadership, and you'll call that inspirational.
Yeah.
It's just influence. Life is a game of influence. You sell your dog to sit. You sell your partner to love you. You sell your boss to give you a job or give you a pay rise. Life is a game of sales and influence. And he will learn. He's 8 years old. He's going to learn the repercussions of influencing the wrong way and being too controlling. And he's going to find his position of leadership.
Yeah.
But we need some people that give no fucks, that don't care about people's emotions, and that are willing to just control a situation for the greater good. And as he gets older, he'll come into alignment with his own values because of the environment you're raising him in. And eventually all of these things that sometimes have the dark side of them show up, or the shadow aspects show up, we want to keep those character traits in place, because when he can learn to use those traits in alignment with his values and his life purpose, that's the world changer.
How do I parent him though? Like, how can I help him?
You parent,
with his, like, he obviously has low self-worth.
He probably, I don't know if he has low self-worth. I wouldn't jump to that conclusion. I think that he probably struggles to know how to behave in a way that that you will accept and approve of when it's against his natural instinct. And I think that as soon as he has a space where he's allowed to be himself, and that will happen through you identifying, okay, this is this story that I'm running in my head right now, that he's manipulating his friend over there or whatever, this is mine.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like I want to shut him down right now because I can see his father in him right now. This is mine.
Yeah. What about, like, other example? What about screen time? When he thinks he has to say, and he gets another 10 minutes, and after the 10 minutes, it's another 10, and oh no, he can't stop now.
Okay. So you're allowed to have boundaries too, and you need to be an example of boundaries, right? And if you know that this is a weakness of yours, like you just need happy to hold. Okay, number one, you just reach out to me. We'll find a way. You just I feel like it needs to be like a non-negotiable for you, like absolute non-negotiable, because I feel like you're so ready, you're asking amazing questions, and you need to be okay. You need to feel some strength in your own boundaries because that's important for him to know, hey, sometimes you get to choose and sometimes you don't. And right now I am making the choice, and I'm okay with you cracking the shits about that. There needs to be a little bit of you that can be a little bit cold.
And I can, like, I'm a Leo, he's a Leo, like I do have some Leo in me.
Right. So we'll pull out that lion and, you know, and make some moves. But the biggest way that you can help him is truly by doing the work on yourself, so that your wounds are not included in your parenting. Because because it's not just like the conversation that you are having with him is felt by him vibrationally so much more than what he'll ever hear from you verbally. He doesn't hear your words, he feels your energy. So when you're like, oh, that's okay, I'm just going to allow that, but on the inside you're like, fuck you like your father. That is the conversation he feels.
Yeah.
So that's why your energies have to be very congruent with your actions. You can't suppress what you're feeling to just, you know, act like a good parent surface, if that makes sense. You've got to truly embody and go through the growth and to know this is what he came here for. He came here to
challenge me.
levels of expansion and to help you heal the parts of yourself that you have disowned and denied and rejected and abandoned that are being mirrored to you through him.
Yeah.
He needs permission to be himself. And that doesn't mean you can't have boundaries. You know, like, so so with the technology thing, all I'm going to say is this. If you're going to this is what I say to all of you. If you're going to give your kid a 10-minute, you know, like a time limit, then I believe you also need to make an agreement with them when they've got a certain time limit of what game they can and can't play. Because the reason your kid's like 10 more minutes, they actually need that. They're in a game, if they're playing something like Fortnite and all these games, where, you know, the game doesn't end. You can't just turn it off like Mario Kart, right? Yeah. It's like you're up against other people, and if you walk out of the game, you know, it gets pretty big, right? And we kind of need to respect, like, these days, whether you like it or not, the same way that our parents or our grandparents hated us watching TV and thought it was a bad thing, we've got the same resistance to the idea of kids playing games these days. But that is like their sport. Like, if you imagined, oh, my kid wasn't in the next room playing computers. If you imagine, oh, they're just over at the neighbor's house playing basketball all day, you'd have no fucking problem with your kid playing basketball for 8 hours. But we have a problem with your kid playing a different game with friends, because they're online most of the time. I'm not sure about his exact game. They're online most of the time with people. Like, they're talking to people. It's like having all your mates over at your house playing basketball in the front yard. It's like all your mates are online and you're playing a game together, right?
I haven't allowed that yet.
And, you know, and these are just things. So all I would say on that is that if you're going to give a time limit, you need to make it clear that he doesn't play a game where it might not be finished in 10 minutes, right? It might be however long it takes until I die. That's when the game ends. So you need to decide, hey, you have one more game. I'm going to give you one more game. You give me your word. When you're out, you're out. It either needs to be that, or we have 10 minutes, which means this. Either you're not allowed to play this particular game, okay, because it needs to finish in 10 minutes, or if you choose to play that game, you take responsibility for how it will feel when you have to put the game down before it's finished. You have to turn it off mid-game. If you're willing to turn it off mid-game, you can play it. But you take responsibility for that choice with the game that you choose to play, because I will give you the privilege of 10 more minutes, so long as you take responsibility for the choice you make and the game you choose to play, because no matter what, it's finishing in 10 minutes. So you either don't play a game that doesn't finish, or you take responsibility for the emotions you feel when you have to cut that game halfway through.
Yeah.
And you get like an agreement out of that.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah? Okay?
Yes. A lot to
that settle, let all that sit, let's see what happens. But yeah, I think he's dealing with grief, and I think he's got a lot of leadership ability, a lot of leadership qualities that you just don't know how to parent, and that's no judgment on you, and that's no fault of yours. You're a different person to him, and that's okay. That's a great thing. You learn how to be you, and you learn how to let him be him.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, my darling. All right, now, Tamika, you're still here. I'm happy to answer you. I know tonight's call is going a bit longer, but I will do it anyway. Let me. All right, can you unmute, darling? Oh, are you able to unmute? No? Let me see. I'll ask you to unmute. If not, I'll just talk. Oh, did she just drop off? Oh, no, she's gone. All right, let me just give her 20 seconds to see if she rejoins. Oh, yep, here she comes. Hey, darling. Let me. Oh, there you are. Let me see if you can. Oh, yeah. Hello.
Sorry, my computer died.
Was it? I thought something happened. That's okay. That's okay. So I read your thing about the whole Jekyll and Hyde situation that you're talking about. I know you mentioned about he has the short-acting Ritalin, basically, when he's medicated. So he's great when he's medicated, but when he wakes up in the morning and the medications are worn off, he's, and I love I thank you for giving me that example. It really helped, like about the dogs and everything, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to say is this to start with. I feel like this because he's 6, because he has ADHD, I need to get some feedback before I can go to step 2 with you. So I'm going to give you something tonight that I want you to try. I need to know how he responds to that to then know like what to say to you next, right? What to get you to try next, or which kind of hard line to take. But I don't want to give you a hard line that could potentially be wrong, right? Because it will hurt his heart, right? So, you said, wait, let me just see this mornings. You fed your dogs. Okay. Okay. Right. So he does need, when he's not on medication or when it's worn off, you need to know you're going to be dealing with the guard dog. Have you ever listened to the guard dog thing in this group?
It was a while ago, but I've heard you, yeah.
It's basically just like the fight or flight response in his brain, like the part where the guard dog comes out and perceives a threat. There's no threat, but it perceives a threat. It makes a story up about something being a threat to him. But basically he has no control over that part of his brain, right? So without walking on eggshells and evolving the whole world around him, give him as much access to his power as you possibly can in the mornings by letting him make whatever choices he can make. Okay, now let's say you get up early and you've already fed the dog. Like that's something that could send him off because he wanted to feed the dog. Ask him the night before, hey, in the morning, do you want to feed the dogs? Here's the deal. The dogs must be fed before 7. So if you want to feed the dog, I will come in and I will wake you up at 6:50 or whatever, right? You will have 10 minutes to be able to get up so that you can feed the dog. And if you don't get up, that's okay, not in trouble. But if the dog is not fed by this time and maybe have a clock or have something that he can draw what the clock needs to look like or put a clock in his room or whatever, give him like a way to measure the time, wake him up in the morning, put an alarm beside his bed and set a timer for 10 minutes and go, cool. When that goes off, you need to feed the dog. And if you don't feed the dog, that's okay. You're not in trouble or anything, but I'm not talking about it. I will feed the dog. So you show me whether or not you want to feed the dog by whether or not the dog is fed when that goes off. If the dog hasn't been fed by 7:05, then you're showing me that you don't want to feed the dog today, and I will feed the dog. Yeah. So it's like you're not telling him he can or he can't. It's like if you want to, here's the boundaries. Here's the deal. You do get to choose. You get to choose. And then he was like, yeah, but I want to do it. No, well, you showed me. You don't say, well, you should have done it then. Well, it wasn't done. You say, you showed me that you didn't want to feed the dog today because at 7:10, the dog still wasn't fed. That shows me that you don't want to feed the dog today. And so I fed the dog today. Okay, well, if you want to feed the dog, that's fine. You can feed the dog anytime you like. You're always welcome to feed the dog. The dog has to be fed by this time. Like that principle in as many situations as you can. Yeah.
Mhm.
So you get to choose, hey, you get to choose if you wear this or you wear this, or, what, hey, while you're getting dressed, I will get your breakfast ready for you. Would you like toast or cereal? So even if you know he's going to give you the same answer every day, like give him a choice for it, right? Let him have access to as many choices without overwhelming him with choices. If he starts getting like antsy, just slow down on your choices. But any area you can give him access to a choice. Are you wearing these shoes today or these shoes? Yeah. Whatever. Anything. Like, hey, do you want to use this bowl or this bowl? They could be the same fucking bowl. They're both white. They're both the exact same bowl. But let him choose which one he wants. You want a big spoon or a little spoon? Just like anything that you can offer him, that, because what it'll do, it'll keep his brain until you give him the medication and it kicks in and whatever. It makes him feel in control. Right. And it gives him access to power. And that's what he's looking for by, you can't do anything right because if you do it, he says, I want to. But then if you let him do it, he doesn't fucking do it. And he's just like, I can't win. Right. I'm guessing that's how it's feeling. That's the vibe. Yeah. So
Yep.
he needs access to choices. And if you can give him kind of like a choice, imagine this. Imagine that. The guard dog wants to come out and have something to bark about. Like it wants to come out. Like guard dogs want something to attack, right? Kind of thing, right? So if there's like white space in his brain, like if there's like nothing to really focus on or make a choice on right now, if his brain isn't looking for its next decision, it'll look for conflict because that's what lets the guard dog come out. Okay, so you want to kind of give him access to another choice without don't give him like, hey, do you want this or this? Do you want this or this? And do you want this and this? Like not all at once. Hey, what are you wearing? This or this? Yeah. Do you want to choose your jumper today or am I choosing your jumper today? Cool. I don't care what you wear as long as it's a jumper, right? Something like that, right? And then when he's done the jumper, then you ask him, hey, like, whatever, like, do you want cereal or do you want toast? Right. So it's like one decision after another, but not all at one time, not 3 decisions at once. Yeah, because then his brain is looking for like doing that next thing. And for as long as it's got its attention on the next thing that it's fixed on or the next choice that it gets to make or whatever, and this is why I want some feedback from you before I give you the next point, because if this doesn't work, if he hates making decisions and it makes him lose his shit, then it's a whole different response. And that might be the case. I intuitively feel like this is probably the most likely answer. That's why I'm giving it to you. I won't even tell you the other one so that you don't get confused and you don't have the wrong idea in your head. Just focus on one and let me know how he goes. And just pay attention to like, if he goes well to a certain point, like what was that point? Like had he already made 5 decisions? Was it okay until his brother was involved? Was it okay until it was time to leave the house or something? So try to just pinpoint a bit of detail for me and I'll be able to crack the code on him.
Amazing.
Okay, choices.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Praise, darling. Absolutely. Excellent.
Easy.
Let me know how it helps.
I will.
Excellent. All right, beautiful people. Let me say this up front because I'll say this every week for the next few weeks. We go to New Zealand in August. 1, 2, wait a sec. Let me count. We have 3 more calls. And then on the 13th of August is a Tuesday. We leave that day. And there'll be 2 calls that we don't have in August, like 13th and 20th, okay? So whatever issues you've got, whatever questions you want to ask, bring them over the next 3 weeks, and then we'll be having a 2-week break while we're away, and then we'll be back on, okay? I just wanted to give you guys all a heads up on that. And for those of you who are new or watching the replay, there's 45 calls per year that you pay for and get access to through the coaching package of this program. It's 45 calls a year. So there's 7 weeks a year. I can take a holiday. And over Christmas to New Year, we're always shut down for the 2 weeks then for like Christmas, New Year week. All right. So there's always 2 weeks there. And then somewhere through the year, there's like another 5 weeks. So last week was the second one. And then there'll be these other 2. And then there'll be one at some other point, sometime. Okay. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and ask anytime. Otherwise, I will love you and leave you. If you have any questions, look out for the post next Tuesday morning. Put them in the comments. If you need any help in the meantime, use the Facebook group, post in the group, and not only myself, like I keep my eye on the group. I don't answer everything, but you get normally the post that I really just give no answers to because someone's already come along and left an answer, and I'm like, that's exactly what I would say. All right. So there are so many people in this group now that have been here for years that give the same advice I would give. So post in that group anytime and you'll get answers anytime that you need. All right. All right. Oh, Kim Dyer, I'm just reading your comment. The penny has dropped. Thanks, Holly. Hamish is your trigger. Oh, wow. Oh, beautiful, babe. Love hearing that. Oh, so good. Excellent. Oh, Marlon, you're so beautiful. All right, beautiful people. Good night. I'll see you all next week, yeah?